Welcome to the Empowerment Hour, a podcast dedicated to the woman ready to take charge of her life, live in her purpose, and be unapologetically authentic. I am your host, Nancy Ruffin, award-winning author, mamipreneur, and committed empowerment specialist. I am determined to see women live up to their fullest potential. And as the self-proclaimed Latina Oprah, my goal is to share my secrets on discovering your purpose, living intentionally, chasing your dreams, and learning to balance it all. If you're ready to make a change and start living on purpose, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hi guys, and thank you for joining me for another week of the Empowerment Hour podcast. This is probably one of my favorite parts of the week. It's one of the things that I look forward to the most, primarily because I get to reconnect with you guys, and I really get to talk to you about the things that have been happening in my life for the past week. I get to share my goals with you, and we really basically just get to catch up with one another. So I hope that you're ready. I hope that you've listened to my past episodes and you've been able to find some value in the things that we've been discussing. Past episodes we've talked a lot about visioning, about what it means to really discover your purpose, how you go about doing that. So if you missed any of my past episodes, please make sure that you subscribe to the Empowerment Hour on iTunes. And then that way you will be automatically notified every time a new episode is live. Yes, and search for the Empowerment Hour. Empowerment is spelled with the H-E-R. So it's EMPOWHERMENT. So now that we've got that out of the way, how is everyone? I am doing great. We just got over the Easter holiday, so I hope that you all had a fabulous Easter. Hope that you were able to make it out to church, and if not, I hope that you were able to spend it, with your family and just, I guess, thinking about the purpose of Easter and what that means. There was a couple of things that were celebrated in between. We have Good Friday, which is symbolizes in the Catholic faith the day that Jesus was crucified, and then we know that on Easter Sunday he resurrects, from the dead, and he's given new life. And there's really powerful symbolism in that, and as it relates to our own lives, right? Because I think that we each carry our own crosses. We each have our own struggles that we go through. Sometimes we may feel like we've been defeated. We may feel like we've been beaten down, almost to the point where we have to shed that old skin. We have to let the old version of us die in order for us to resurrect, and be reborn into who we're supposed to be. So I've been thinking a lot about that, and about how we start to reconstruct a new image for ourselves based on where we are currently in our lives, based on the experiences that we have, based on the people who we allow into our lives, and how sometimes the people that we may start a journey with are not necessarily the same people that we end with, because along the journey there's growth that happens, there's change that happens, and we learn to rediscover or discover new parts of ourselves that may not be aligned with the same values that we may have associated, to these other people that have been a part of our lives for so long. And then sometimes our rebirth requires us to leave some people behind And I know that that's a struggle for many of us, because we struggle with being loyal to those who have been by our side. We struggle with feeling guilty, because we don't, or we're hesitant to choose ourselves, because we don't feel that we are worthy to choose ourselves. And so this is something personally that I've been struggling with, because when I got on this journey that I'm on, this self discovery, live on purpose journey, and when I first started, or when I first decided that I really wanted to take my writing to the next level, I was blogging a lot, and then I was writing poetry, and a part of writing poetry was actually getting out there and being brave enough to perform it. And so when I was doing that in the early stages of my career, it was frightening, right? It is extremely frightening to stand up in front of a crowd and share your work, because we don't want to be judged, and we want people to like our material, and so these are all the things that I used to struggle with. And I remember when I was first starting out, I had a great team behind me that would come, to these poetry events to support me, because I knew that even if no one in the crowd liked me or my work, I still had my own personal cheering squad. And so it helped me build my confidence, and so I struggle when I think about the people who have supported me from the very beginning, and who were there in the initial stages of my career. And I look at to where I am now, and the same people are no longer in my life in the same capacity. And so, yeah, they're still a part of my life, but we're all in different places right now. And so because we're in different places in our own personal journeys, it's kind of made us drift apart, and there's some distance there. And it's something that I've struggled with, because a part of me feels loyal to them. But then there's also the part of me that has to honor who I am. And I have to honor where I currently am on my own journey. And I've finally come to the realization that I can still love them, and I can still acknowledge everything that they've done with regards to supporting me and my dreams and my passions, but also understand that not everyone is meant to make it to the finish line with me. And so I appreciate them for their role in my life at that specific time in my life. But I have to keep moving forward. I can't allow myself to be held back by that guilt, or by that feeling that I have to be loyal to them. Because at some point we have to be able to choose ourselves if we're really committed to doing what we say that we want to do, and if we're really truly committed to our dreams. So I want you all to kind of sit with that for a second. And there may be some of you who may be struggling with some similar situations, because on any path to self-enlightenment, or on any path that requires us to grow, there are going to be people who are not growing with us, who are not going in the same direction. And so you might be at a crossroads where you have to make a decision, and it's either you choose them and they become your anchor, right? They become like that ball and chain wrapped around your ankle, and you won't be able really to move further. Or you can decide that it's time to release them, and you wish them well, and you thank them for their the space that they've held in your life, and then you keep pushing forward, and you keep your eye on the prize, and on that goal, and on your vision, and on your dream. So I want you to learn to break free of the guilt, because it's a hard thing to do, and it's something that you're constantly going to face the more successful you become in life, or in your business, or in just the pursuit of your dreams. So we gotta let go of the things that are holding us back. And part of doing that also is uh, deciding how willing we are to take accountability for ourselves, to take accountability for our dreams, and how much we're really willing to invest in those dreams, right? And investment doesn't necessarily always mean financial investment. Sometimes it really means how much you're willing to put in with regards to that dream of yours. And sometimes what that means is also letting go, as I mentioned. So how much are you really willing to invest? Are you willing to let go of some of the relationships that are not productive to you right now, that are not conducive to where you are in your life? During this time, if you guys have been following me, I recently was accepted into this writing residency workshop, a 1 week residency that I applied to a few months ago. And there's financial costs associated with this. And so a lot of people within the writers circle that I'm a part of, or the writers community, they have to be creative in how they're going to raise the funds in order to participate in the workshop. So one thing that happened interesting this week on Facebook, because Facebook is full of drama sometimes, was that someone, an observer, not a writer, not anyone that's really in the writing community, but who does support the arts, made a comment about this being the time of year where all of these workshops come up, and all of these residencies, and all of these things that we as writers look to participate in, that are costly. They're not free. And so what many people do is that they create Kickstarter campaigns or GoFundMe campaigns, or some form of crowdfunding in order to fund their way to participate in these workshops. And so this person on Facebook just made an observation about this being the time of year where a lot of people do that. And her observation was that while she does not mind, helping someone achieve their dream, or helping someone get to, a residency that's going to help them in the pursuit of their dream, what responsibility are we taking as the dreamers, as the writers, in funding our own dream, right? So, and it was a very valid observation. People attacked her for it. People accused her for shaming, or for not really being a community supporter. And I didn't take it that way at all, particularly because I myself am a writer. I too have to figure out how I'm going to fund my way, towards these residencies and these workshops that are geared towards helping me improve my craft. But I also planned for these things, and fortunately, I think I'm probably in a better position financially than others are, because I do have a 9-to-5 job. So I don't solely rely on my creativity and my passion to support me and my lifestyle. I understand that I have bills to pay, and in order for me to pay my bills, I have to work. Now, would I rather commit all of my time to my passion and to my writing and to doing all of the things creatively that I love to do? Absolutely. I would absolutely love to do that. But it's not realistic, because I have a mortgage that needs to be paid. I have children that need to be fed and clothed, and all of these things that require real money to do it. And so while some people sacrifice the luxuries, I guess, that a 9-to-5 affords some of us, I don't have the luxury of not working a regular job, because I need stability in my life. And so I can't live day to day worrying about how I'm going to feed my kids, how I'm going to pay my bills. Like, I am not that kind of person. I need to be stable. So in any case, so this person, commented on Facebook, and she made this observation, and she got attacked for it. And so what I really wanted to talk about in today's podcast was, what responsibility do we have as the people who have these dreams in investing in our own dreams, right? We have to take some responsibility for that. We have to take some accountability, and we have to be willing to invest in ourselves, I think, before we can ask others to invest in us. With this specific issue, I see the same people year after year wanting to attend the same conference, the same residency, and they're always crowdfunding. And they're not crowdfunding for a portion of the cost. Many times they're crowdfunding for more than what the residency actually costs. So they're looking for other people to cover the entire cost of their quote unquote dream, as well as provide additional money, I guess, for incidentals, I guess for food. I mean, I don't know what it is, but the money that their campaign goal, usually exceeds the cost of the actual residency. And so sometimes that causes me to look at people side-eyed, because it's like, come on, at what point are you willing to invest in yourself? And I contribute to a lot of causes. Okay, if someone is down and out on their luck, if someone is ill and is battling a life-threatening disease, and they need money to cover medical bills or to cover their basic cost of living because they can't work because of their illness, if they've lost everything that they own to a fire, and these crowdfunding campaigns go up, I'm the first one to donate, because I understand that things happen. I understand that sometimes life knocks us on our feet, and we may need a helping hand to get us back up on our feet. But what I can't wrap my head around are these people who take advantage of crowdfunding and want others to completely fund their dreams. And for these people, it's almost like you guys in a reality check. We all have dreams, every single last one of us. Some of us may be more vocal about it. Some of us may be out there actually doing something, trying to make our dreams come true. But we each have to take accountability and responsibility for investing in our own dreams, whether that be financially, whether that be with time, resources, whatever it is. You have to be willing to invest in yourself as much as you want others to invest in you. Because, if not, then really, what are you doing? For me, what it's saying is you're just taking advantage of people's kindness. And one of the things that was mentioned in this Facebook post is that, come on, that these residencies and these workshops are happening yearly, right? It's not like something that just pops up and then you all of a sudden have to come up with the money. No, that these things are happening. And so you should be saving. And I understand that sometimes shit happens, and then, you have money that you've saved to cover these costs, and then some other stuff may pop up that is more of a priority, and you may have to use those funds for that. But then, you know what? Maybe this is not the year or the time for you to attend that residency. Maybe you have to push it back to next year until you can afford to fund it. Every opportunity that we get is not necessarily an opportunity that we need to take. And I'm not trying to shame no one, and I'm not trying to sit on any high horse or preach, but at some point, enough is enough. How many times are you going to attend the same writing residency and expect people to fund it? One time, yes, I understand it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. But to continuously expect people to fund your dreams, I think you really have to reevaluate your purpose and how much is that really your dream. Because until you're ready and willing to invest in yourself, then I'm almost doubtful about how serious you are about that dream. Because it's easy to have dreams if other people are paying for them. So it's just something to think about. And along those lines, that crowdfunding is becoming, it's almost like panhandling in the street. That's how it's becoming, because every time I log into Facebook, I see a different crowdfunding campaign for many, 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 many different reasons. And so I've decided that I have to kind of start spring cleaning my social media to kind of root some of that nonsense out, because some of the things that these people are crowdfunding for are absolutely ridiculous. Things that a person of a certain age should not be crowdfunding for. Again, because at what point do we take responsibilities for our own lives and the choices that we make? You have to be responsible. You have to be accountable, and we can't always expect community to bail us out when we find ourselves in a rut. Because 9 times out of 10, we've put ourselves in that rut because we refuse to do other things in our lives. But, I'm not here to judge anyone. But yeah, so I've started to spring clean my social media. I've started to unfriend and delete people who just are not good energy. If it's people who are constantly posting things that are negative with just bad intentions, or who are not able to find any joy at all in their lives, these are not things that I want to see. Because I need to be inspired. I want to be motivated. I want to experience joy and happiness, and I want this in every area of my life. So I want it in real life, and I want to surround myself with that, in my social media. Because what we don't realize is that all of these things are seeping into our subconscious, right? The things that we see, the things that we expose ourselves to, are constantly embedded into our psyche, whether we realize it or not. So it's very important to take inventory on the things that you allow into your space. And whether that's in real life or online, I want you all to kind of look at what you're surrounding yourselves with. Look at the type of messages you're seeing every day, the type of conversations you're having with certain people, and then really think about how, if at all, it's helping you or hindering you. And if you discover that interacting with certain individuals is not contributing to your greater growth, then it might be time to limit the amount of time that you give to these people. Because we attract the people, our vibe attracts our tribe, right? And one of the things that I speak so much about, and I speak about this, about this spring cleaning, and about being conscious and aware of the people you surround yourselves with. Because the more selective you become, and the more clear you become on the kind of people you want to be around and the type of energy you want around you, that is exactly the kinds of energy and people that the universe is going to bring to you. And ever since I've become more conscious of that, I have met so many women who are on the same exact journey and path as I am. And what I mean is that I have met women who are all about women empowerment, who are about growth, who are about continuously pushing themselves past their limit. They're striving for more. And so these are the kinds of women who continuously come in my path. And it's because I've been very conscious of the energy that I allow. This week, I actually had lunch with two women who I met on social media. One, I met in person a few months ago when she attended my vision board workshop, and we immediately clicked. I mean, and I feel like she's quickly become a friend, and we text all the time, and she's supported me in my various endeavors. She's become a sponsor for my Fierce Woman brunch that I'm having in July. And she's just a fabulous mother, woman, entrepreneur. And if you're not following her, please connect with her on Instagram. Her Instagram is @BrooklynJessie. And then the other young lady that I met for the first time this week during lunch was this young woman named Erica, who's the mother of twins. And she custom designs these beautiful sneakers, and she's really made a name for herself on social media. Follow her @Taylor's Penny. But in any case, we met up for lunch, and I'm telling you that it was almost as if I'd known both of these women from my entire lives, because the energy was just so on point. And we realized that we're all at the same juncture in our lives, in our journey. And so while I was talking in the beginning of this podcast about being able to let go of some of the people who are not currently on the same path as us, we have to do that in order to make room for these new people that are meant to be in our lives right now. Because these are the women now who are going to help me grow and push past to the next level on my journey and in my career. And so you have to be around the type of women and energy that you eventually want in your life. Again, so it's about being really conscious and being aware about what you want, about who you are, and about how you plan on getting there. You have to have a plan. And though sometimes things may not always go according to plan, but if you have a plan, then you have at least a roadmap of how you're getting there, so that if you stumble or if you take a wrong turn, you at least have some kind of idea on how to get you back on track. But if you have no plan, then you're going to always be lost, and you're never going to know how to get to that next level. So spring clean your social media, spring clean your life, get rid of anyone or anything that is not contributing to your personal development, to your personal growth. That's not helping you get to that next level of where you want to be. Because you also need these people on this journey when you fail. Because, don't get it misconstrued. No one ever succeeds their first shot in. So you have to be prepared for failure, because it's going to come. But if you have the wrong people in your life and you fail, they're not going to push you to get back up and keep going. All they're going to do is reaffirm that failure. And then all that does for you is make you doubt yourself and make you doubt your purpose, and possibly prevents you from getting up and moving forward. Because the thing about people who are not on your same path or journey, they're never going to be able to understand your passion. They're never going to be able to understand your vision. And so for them, success is always going to seem like this impossible, unattainable thing. And that's the last thing dreamers need, right? We need other dreamers that are going to push us, that are going to help us get back up when we fall, because they know what it's like to fail. They know what it's like to get up, and they're going to know exactly what it is to tell you to get you moving. I remember a few years ago when I was trying to conceive, and but it felt like the most impossible task for me. My husband and I had been married for quite some time. I think we were going into 10 years already. And I had never been pregnant. And having children wasn't something that him and I ever really discussed or planned for, because we were both really young when we got married. We were both still in college. And so I think that our focus really was on finishing school and establishing great careers. And, getting ourselves financially stable. So planning a family was not something that it was not part of my dream for my life. I always wanted to be a career woman, but then something happens when you hit your 30s and you see everyone else around you is having children, and it's like a bell goes off, and it might be that biological clock that starts ticking, and you feel like now, you have to have kids because you want to leave a legacy behind. Whatever the case was, when we decided that we did want to have a family and we were trying to have a family, it wasn't happening for us. And it didn't happen easily, on our own. We actually needed to seek the assistance of a fertility specialist. We had to undergo intrauterine inseminations, so I didn't get pregnant the traditional way. My husband had to we had to get his sperm, and then it was injected into me directly, and we did a couple of rounds of that until I finally did get pregnant. And then when I did get pregnant, it was probably the happiest I had ever been in my life, because having a child at that point was the one thing that I wanted most. And after all the trying, and after all the doctor's visits, and after all the tests, when it finally happened, I was just overjoyed, and so we immediately told our friends and our family, and, we began planning for the baby until we had to go for our first prenatal visit. And, and they checked for the heartbeat, and the baby had a heartbeat, and so I was like, okay, yes, this is really happening. But then we went back a couple of weeks later, and there was no heartbeat detected. And so the doctor told us that the pregnancy wasn't viable and that I would miscarry. And so at that point, it was as if I had a baby in my hands, in my arms, and someone just came and yanked that child out of my arms. I was devastated. And I refused to accept what the doctor was telling me. He even recommended that I have, a D&C, where they would kind of just take the fetus out of me. And I refused, because I said, well, if this is God's will, then it's going to happen on its own. I'm not going to allow any doctor to go in and take my baby. Because, again, I was in denial. And for a really long time, then it eventually happened. I did miscarry. But I felt like such a failure. And I felt like my body had betrayed me. I felt like I had no purpose as a woman. I felt like the one thing that I was created to do, right, to procreate, to have children, to continue the human race, as a woman, I was being stripped of that. My body could not even do that. It could not even do the thing that it was designed to do. And so I really became a recluse at that time. And I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to speak to anybody. I was just really depressed and sad. And I had decided, to give up, because I could not get past my failure. I could not push past it. because it was the most painful experience that I had ever been through. And not physically painful, but emotionally. I was broken. And so I refused to allow myself to go through that kind of pain again. And I gave up. But the thing about dreams, and this goes for anything that we are extremely passionate about and love, is that no matter how much we try to deny it, that calling, that longing is always going to be there. So no matter how much you try to bury it deep within you, when you really desire something, when you really love something, it's never going to go away. It's going to keep gnawing at you. It's going to keep clawing at you and clawing its way up and out until you do something about it. And that was what happened with me and my journey to motherhood. Because even though I was consciously telling myself I didn't want to be a mother and I wasn't going to try anymore, deep down inside, I still had that desire to be a mother. And so I prayed a lot during that time, and I was meditating a lot, and I was writing and journaling. And then one day, it might have been God, but it was definitely a higher being. I was like, okay, I can't give up on my dream. And I understand that, okay, this happened, but I have to be, if I give up now, then I'm never going to know what it's like to be a mother. And I decided to push past that initial failure, and I tried again. And we went back to the doctor, and we continued to do our intrauterine inseminations, and we started the process all over again. And I will tell you that 5 months after my miscarriage, I got pregnant with my first daughter. And it was the most beautiful experience I've ever had. It was the easiest pregnancy. I mean, everything just flowed the way that it was supposed to. So now in hindsight, when I look at my daughter, who was about to be 5 in July, and I look at her and I say, if I had given up on my dream, if I had allowed that first failure to defeat me, I would have missed out on this opportunity, this joy, this blessing of being this child's mother. She was the baby I was supposed to have. And so that experience taught me to never question anything that happens in my life, the good or the bad. I've come to an understanding that every experience that we go through is necessary for our growth, and it's necessary to get us to where we're ultimately supposed to be. And so that I had to have that miscarriage. I needed to discover how badly I really wanted to be a mother. I needed to also discover patience. I had to understand that everything does not happen when I want it to happen. Everything happens in its time, when it's supposed to happen. And sometimes when things are supposed to happen are not when we want it to happen, and we have to learn to be okay with that. And so there were so many lessons I learned from that failure. But the fact that I was able to push past that and learn from it gave me the ultimate blessing that I have in my life. And so when there was a time when I didn't believe that I was going to ever be a mother, I am now the mother to 2 beautiful little girls, and it's all because I decided to keep moving. I didn't give up when things got tough. I didn't give up when I experienced the most heartbreaking thing that could have possibly happened to anyone. I decided to keep moving. And so I want to leave you all with that thought tonight. No matter how hard things get in our lives, no matter how many obstacles we may encounter in the pursuit of our dreams, failure is inevitable. Okay, it's going to happen. What we do with the failure, how we move past the failure, is what's ultimately going to decide or determine if we really do succeed or if we're just going to be failures for our entire life. So you have to be willing to pick yourself up and keep moving and try again. I want to leave you with this reading from my book, Live on Purpose, because I think that it really speaks to tonight's theme of the podcast. And I really want, once I'm done reading, I really want you to just sit with it, and whatever comes up for you, I want you to write that, and I want you to meditate on that, and I want you to think about what that means for you. So I end my book with a section entitled Embrace God's Plan for Your Life. And really what I'm doing in this section is talking about the journey to self-discovery. And it's not easy. The journey to self-discovery is not an easy one. It requires patience, a willingness to relinquish control, trust, and remaining open to what the universe has in store. Trusting that every experience, whether positive or negative, is for your greater good. Learning to tap into your unconsciousness and listening to your intuition is the beginning of the self-discovery process. And so when you allow yourself to listen to that part of you and to make decisions from that place of unconsciousness, you will soon find that your purpose will be revealed to you. And when it is, it's going to feel like a spiritual awakening. And the more you live in your purpose, the more happiness, joy, and peace will consume you. So even if you're not where you want to be at in life right now, I want you to understand, I want you to remember that it's never too late to discover your purpose. Living the life that you've always imagined for yourself, that's your responsibility. That's your duty. That is the purpose of your life. You have to figure what that is and then spend every single day living in that purpose. Okay, and I want you to dream big. Do not limit yourself by reason or common sense. Okay, I want you to dream about the impossible, about the things that you've only read about in books or only seen on TV. Because the thing is that if someone's thought of these things, then it's possible to achieve, it's possible to attain. And I don't want you to ever be limited in your thinking or in your desire for what you want in your life. So thank you guys for sticking with me for another week. I appreciate the love, the support. Please, if you enjoy the podcast, leave a review on iTunes. And until next week, guys, have a blessed day. Have a blessed week. Crush some goals, my loves. And reach out to me. Let me know how you're doing. I want to hear. I want to connect. Have a good night.